with the shooting death of Breonna Taylor has pled not guilty to 3 counts of wanton endangerment. Former Detective Brett Hankinson was indicted last week for endangering Taylor's neighbors when bullets he fired during the incident went into their apartment. Taylor's family is calling for the release of the evidence shown to the grand jury as they continue to call for the other 2 officers involved in the raid to be charged. A Texas grand jury indicted the sheriff of Williamson County, accusing Robert Chody of destroying or concealing video in an investigation into the death of a black man while in custody that was filmed by the TV show Live PD but was never shown on air. Wall Street at the close of Dow added 410 points. The Nasdaq plus 203. America is listening to Fox News.
Fox News.
Adjusting to a new normal means we need to be smart about how we do business. Thousands of small business owners have discovered the benefits of Stamps.com and kept their businesses running while avoiding trips to the post office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and you'll never pay full price, with access to discounted rates you can't even get at the post office, like 5 cents off every stamp and up to 62% off USPS and UPS shipping rates. Don't waste time at the post office or UPS store. Print official stamps and labels right from your home or office computer for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, just leave it for your mail carrier, schedule a free package pickup, or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. That's Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
The curfew lifted in Louisville after days of protests following the decision in the Breonna Taylor case as one lawmaker pushes for change in a state statute on demonstrations.
Kentucky State Representative Lisa Wilner wants to change the definition of rioting in Kentucky after a fellow Democrat was charged with the felony while taking part in a racial justice protest in Louisville. Police say Attica Scott, the state's only black woman representative, was in a group with members who damaged buildings and started a fire at a library. Scott calling the charges ludicrous, saying she and her daughter were heading to a church ahead of curfew when officers converged on them. First-degree rioting defined as knowingly taking part in a public disturbance that injures someone not rioting or causing substantial property damage. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
United Airlines pilots have voted to accept a deal that would avert immediate furloughs from the company, even as it waits for extension of federal payroll aid. TikTok is still available in the U.S. for now.
4 hours before a U.S. ban on downloading video.
A reclusive deity hasn't written a new book in 2,000 years, and a local rescue dog is adopted for a couple weeks. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, in a devastating blow to the nation's laundry, 16,000 Americans were reportedly stained during the messiest day in U.S. history. Reports confirm that nearly 3,000 citizens received permanent stains on their good shirt from mustard splatter off a dropped hot dog, along with 12,000 cases of spilled coffee and other dark beverages, ruining Americans' pair of hand-wash-only pants. Government officials further indicated that federal assistance for the nation's overwhelmed dry cleaners would be necessary. And in this week's local news, an elderly Rite Aid patron stretches out a conversation about toothpaste to prolong human contact. In other news, artifacts discovered buried in Washington, D.C. suggest humans once passed laws there. A self-centered child blames his parents' divorce entirely on himself. And a night of uninterrupted sleep really throws off a man's entire day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Studies show that more and more teenagers are leaving Facebook, but where are they going instead? Apparently to the hottest new social media site in years, the comments section of this YouTube video of a deer running in slow motion. Already, its comment section is seeing over 30 million active users. Facebook isn't giving up so easily, incorporating images and videos of deer, elk, reindeer, and even moose into their layout. But teens say that misses the point entirely. In fact, the site's one unwritten rule: don't post anything about the video itself. Teens say that's not cool. But with more and more people swapping over to the comments section of the slow motion deer video by the day, some trend watchers warn it may begin going the way of Facebook.
I was obsessed with it for a while, but now it's just boring. I'm probably going to switch over to Happy Fast Kitchen.
While we don't know for sure, we believe Happy Fast Kitchen might refer to the Yelp page for a Chinese food restaurant in Cleveland, the new social media site where musician Skrillex recently dropped his latest album.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. Yes, it's Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. Our toll-free number here, of course, is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. And you can call in and take control of the airwaves, talk about, well, whatever's on your mind. Tonight, in the studio, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
It's Ian.
And nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And we are here to take your calls and talk about all sorts of fun stuff. I wanted to lead tonight with, you've been following the Christopher Cantwell trial, Mr. Freeman.
I have.
And there has been a decision, apparently, that just came down.
It was this morning. Chris Cantwell, former co-host here on Free Talk Live, who sadly went from being a libertarian police critic to a racist Nazi police lover.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming either.
Has been found guilty of 2 out of the 3 charges that he was facing. Felony charges. One of them is called interstate threatening. The other is called interstate extortion. He's facing up to 20 years in prison for effectively having a nasty chat with somebody on the internet. Something that happens countless times in various different chat rooms all across the internet.
So there was a flame war, and now he's facing federal charges?
No, he's failed.
The federal charges, so he's been
convicted of federal
So now it's
charges.
just a matter of sentencing.
Yeah.
Correct, and that will be happening in January.
And
assumably
January some
4th.
Sort of appeals and that kind of a thing.
Maybe.
I assume.
I would expect him to throw out the obligatory no reasonable jury could have reached this conclusion, which, you know, I would have had a hard time finding him guilty just because he did not say that he would rape the guy's wife. He said that he would F her, which is, you know, that may have been based on an assumption of consent, which...
Right. It was definitely... I mean, it seemed very hyperbolic. For listeners that aren't familiar, you're referring to a conversation that he had over Telegram with the internet chat application that he had with another Nazi. Somebody who arguably was even more despicable than Cantwell in his beliefs at the time. The other guy was part of a group called Bull Patrol, which got its name after the haircut of the killer in South Carolina, the shooter in the church. Remember a few years ago?
Yeah.
Dylan Roof.
So this group of Nazi racists had formed this group called Bull Patrol to worship this guy, this roof killer. Wow. And so like they were arguably even worse. I mean, it's probably a toss-up, but they were arguably even more despicable in their belief systems, in their racist beliefs than Cantwell. So that was who he was arguing with online and trying to determine who these people were, because Cantwell had let the haters get to him.
Right.
And I'm actually writing an article over at freekeen.com outlining some of the key mistakes that Cantwell made. And one of those key mistakes, besides talking to the police, which was the worst mistake.
Don't talk to the police.
That was the worst mistake he made. One of the other big mistakes he made was making his haters his hobby and actually caring about what they were doing. Because if he had just ignored these guys, they would have gone away eventually. I mean, they called his show. He had a show that he did, internet radio show, and they called, pretty incessantly and did terrible crank calls like we've had on this show. The difference between us and Cantwell is we don't care who these a-holes are that call and say, they say the N-word, they try to say the N-word or the F-word or whatever on the radio. We have to hit the dump button. We drop their call. We move on. I would have moved on years ago from the guy that calls and threatens the show, but he keeps calling. So but I continue to ignore him. Basically, I mean, we'll take his calls. Right. Nobody takes his headphones off. He walks out of the studio.
Yeah, Riley did the same thing when he called.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. That's my way of ignoring him. I don't have any interest in anything that guy has to say.
But Cantwell let it get to him, and he spent some amount of his life obsessing over these people and fighting with them. And it was that led him to want to know who they were, which led him to issue this alleged threat to the supposed victim in this particular case. So had Cantwell just simply let it go, then none of this would have happened.
Well, and we've talked a lot on this program about how, despite somebody being a despicable person, or perhaps they work for an unscrupulous organization or something like that, freedom of speech is important to uphold, regardless, of who the person is and that kind of a thing. And to me, this is a freedom of speech issue. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, no, regardless of how stupid Cantwell was and how basically the entire case was essentially built on his mistakes, ultimately, the government definitely deserves a lot of the blame in this particular case because they are essentially crushing the freedom of speech here by targeting a Nazi, right? So the old Pastor Martin Niemöller quote, the poem from the 1940s written by the Jewish pastor who famously wrote, first they came for the communists, then they came for the trade unionists, and eventually they came for me. I'm paraphrasing it.
Nobody was left to
and
stand.
no one was left to stand up. And
nobody's still standing.
And it's ironic, of course, that now they're coming after the Nazis, right? So it was the Nazis who were doing the coming after when this poem was written. Now the Nazis are being come after. And it's the same process, right? It's, everybody hates Nazis. I mean, no one likes a Nazi. So very few people are going to be upset about this particular criminal conviction. However, the reality is, Cantwell's essentially the canary in the coal mine here. They're coming after him. They know they're going to be able to get away with this.
Because nobody cares about the Nazis.
Because screw the Nazis,
yeah. I don't care about the Nazis.
Well, who's next?
Right, yeah.
So who's next?
Well, and this, for our longtime listeners, this is a very interesting contrast because here we have a guy who, he had a podcast, was doing some YouTube stuff.
Yeah, until he got banned from YouTube.
Right. And so, but he threatens somebody, and now he's been convicted of some sort of felony, and he's facing prison.
Yes.
Whereas we have a regular caller to this show who has threatened, almost everybody who hosts this show multiple times.
Yeah,
and nothing happens to him.
That particular guy, I used to give credit for dancing around and never actually coming out with a threat, but he has been drunk enough to where he's actually threatened people.
Yeah, I think the evidence
he's called enough times and he's said enough stuff and been so drunk or whatever it was. It used to be that he'd kind of dance around and not actually threaten. He'd say, I wish such and such would happen to you, or, he'd have these tricky ways of not actually issuing a threat, but he just got so sloppy eventually. He did do it. They won't do anything to him.
They won't do anything to a national talk show radio host.
Or to the threatening person.
The threatening person. Well, yeah, I mean, they won't, send this guy, or involve, litigation in any way, send the state after him. But yet we have this despicable Nazi, and the state has no problem locking him up and throwing away the key.
Well, and at the same time, we do, in the non-aggression principle, we do say that you violate the non-aggression principle when you threaten force. So, if he had said rape instead of the F word, then I would have had to say this was a perfectly good conviction because, you can't go threatening people. I mean, that's not an appropriate use for
online all the time. Like Facebook, Twitter, you name the social media, there's people out there threatening all sorts of things, right? Particularly in the political spectrum, right? I would like to whatever all of the people on this side of the fence, or I wish all these people, I would light a fire and burn them all down, that kind of a thing, right?
Neither of those things were threats, though.
Yeah, but was it believable though? I mean,
is anything on the internet like that believable in a flame
That's what
war?
I don't think it is. That's why I disagree with nobody here. Is even though nobody says that, even if he said he would rape the wife, even I would still say it was hyperbole and obviously not. But because it wasn't the word rape, it was clearly hyperbolic. It was, I was going to F your wife. And in front of your kids, which makes it even more ridiculous. And then he added, to make it even more ridiculous, that he thinks one of his incel listeners would enjoy having sex with her as well. I'm paraphrasing it. But so the suggestion there would be that he would then bring along one of his listeners and they would be tag teaming her. I mean, it was just absolutely ludicrous. And the supposed victim didn't even think it was a threat. He never reported it.
To our listeners out there, are you concerned about the state of freedom of speech? I know I am. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Despite years of warnings about cryptocurrency, criminals prefer U.S. dollars for money laundering, study shows. Jim Rogers predicts end of U.S. dollar dominance. Macro strategist Raul Paul says Bitcoin beats gold in every way. New crypto, sushi, plummets around rumors of exit scam. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back, everybody, to Free Talk Live, the live call-in talk radio program where you can talk about anything you want. Take control of the airwaves if you like. It seems like we are the only radio talk show of this nature where we can do that, and I enjoy doing it myself. Speaking of which, I'm here. I'm the captain. I'm your host tonight, and joining me, it's
Ian.
And nobody.
And Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform over at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or even just meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. That's local.bitcoin.com. We've been talking about the conviction that was handed down this morning in the Christopher Cantwell case. For our listeners who aren't familiar with Christopher Cantwell, you may know him from many internet memes as the crying Nazi. I believe that was his peak fame.
Prior to that, he did get some attention as one of the alleged Robin Hooders by the Colbert Show back in the day.
That's
he
right.
was one of the 3 featured characters.
Right.
Which is interesting, considering that was the only day that he ever went out with the Robin Hooders.
There was only
the day
one
that
day,
Colbert was here.
No, actually, it was one day prior to that.
Okay. So,
that was where
he had some real cred going.
That was where they got the video from of him giving a hard time to one of the parking enforcers. That's where they caught that footage.
Okay. That was the day before that he did that?
No, it was not the day before. It was probably 2 or 3 years prior to them coming out.
So I just want to clear some things up for myself, really.
Yeah, sure. I've been following it closely, so I can.
Right. So this was an internet argument.
That's right. Much not unlike any other internet arguments that have happened probably millions of times over the last 30 or so years the internet's been around.
Yep.
It's very common on like video gaming platforms for people to say horrifying things.
Oh my gosh, I remember I used to play Madden online, right? That's the NFL football game, right? And I stopped playing that when 12-year-old kids started really kicking my ass.
Okay.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'm done.
They got a lot of time to
They got
practice.
a lot of time, and like they're far more nimble than I am. Anyway, but there would be some heinous conversations, and then I was on the PS3 as the platform, and the PS3 had something called a PSI, which is a camera that you can hook up to it with a microphone.
Okay.
I was over at my friend Sean's house. He had the PSI. He just got it. It was hooked up, but it had fallen down behind the TV. And so we didn't pay it any attention. And so we're talking mad crap about this, the opponent, right? We're like, oh, this little bastard, we're going to kick his, kind of stuff. And then, like, the music had stopped in the background. All of a sudden, we hear this, we can hear you guys coming from, like, behind the TV. It's this 12-year-old kid and, like, his brother or something. And they're like, and they start giving us, like, and it's full-on cussing, right? Telling us they're going to do all sorts of bad things to our wives and families and all that kind of stuff, So, I mean, probably as bad, if not far worse, than the things Cantwell said in this argument we had said just over this game, right? Yeah. So, but I wanted to be clear, there's no victim in this, correct?
Well, the federal government would like you to believe that the other Nazi was the victim. That he was so afraid that Chris Cantwell was going to come and have sex with his wife in front of his children, obvious hyperbole, that he was so afraid he'd never bothered to call the police, apparently, which is ridiculous. If
he did not see any reason to.
Yeah, if he was actually afraid about what Cantwell was doing,
right?
Wouldn't he have considered reporting it, or wouldn't he have likely reported it to the police?
You would think so, but I mean, what would you do in that situation? I don't know. I would hope to.
I
not
wouldn't have taken it seriously
in that situation.
And I don't go to the police myself personally as a general rule. But that said, they are the only monopoly protection provider that we have. So if you are feeling legitimately threatened, as our co-host Mark has felt about the person who's called this show before, he has gone to the police. I wouldn't have necessarily done that myself. I don't take it seriously, though, and I don't have a family to protect.
There's something to be said about using the state in a position of self-defense. And so, there may be an occasion where that aligns itself with the non-aggression principle, that kind of a thing. So, I mean, I could see that being a thing, but also, it's either that or you're hiring personal security bodyguards, all that kind of thing. You've got to increase your OPSEC. But
this guy obviously didn't take it seriously, though, because he didn't do any of that.
Right. So no person or property was harmed in any of this.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
And here's the real kicker. And it really deserves focus, because we can certainly talk about what the federal government is doing to freedom of speech and freedom of the press and all of that, and this is a very bad harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, I think it sets a horrible precedent for sure, but we can get to that.
But the really, I think the most important takeaway from this for people is don't talk to the police, because it was Chris Cantwell speaking to the police not just once, but multiple times, that got him into this circumstance in the first place. For instance, he at one point spoke with the FBI, including Agent Phil Christiana, who many of our longtime listeners will remember that name. He was the guy who tried to get our co-host Nobody, back when he was known as Rich Paul, to flip and wear a wire inside the Keene Activist Center.
Will you wear a wire?
Snitches get stitches. See, to some extent, the funny thing here is that Cantwell tried to snitch, and it was the feds who gave him the stitches.
Yeah.
Threw him in the ditch.
Yeah. And so Cantwell had been talking with the federal government, the FBI specifically.
Do we know why?
Yeah, he was always forthcoming with the fact that he was talking to the police, as though that somehow made it more respectable. He was always forthcoming about that. But the reason he was doing it was because he really hated what these Bull Patrol people were doing to him.
Okay.
And he was letting it get to him. And he wanted to fight back, and he figured that the cops would be his allies in this. And for whatever reason, he started talking to the cops and giving them information and telling them what was happening to him. And at one point, apparently, according, I believe, to the testimony that Nobody and I saw in his bail hearing earlier this year, one of the agents testified that nobody had, or not nobody.
I didn't do it.
One of the agents testified that Cantwell had admitted to being the person behind the Telegram messages. Because, again, anybody who wants to can go and spin up a Telegram profile, call themselves Christopher Cantwell, and start going around talking trash to people on the internet.
That's true. We've seen that happen.
In order to prove that it was actually Christopher Cantwell who was behind the name Christopher Cantwell, they would have had to have gotten information from Telegram. Well, the police testified they couldn't get information from Telegram because they're not based in the United States.
Right. I was going to ask that question about how did the evidence of this conversation, come to light to the state?
Oh, well, that's another good question. So the FBI found the conversation. Again, the guy never reported it. So what happened was a screenshot of the conversation was posted in a Bull Patrol group. So this group of Nazis had their own little chat group, and we're posting things about Cantwell and whatever. So this guy posted a screenshot of that, and the FBI agent was in that group monitoring it. And so he saw the post.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
But again, Cantwell testified that he was behind the personality in the first place, so he convicted himself.
He hung himself with that information. 855-450-FREE. We'd like to take your calls and thoughts on the Christopher Cantwell case. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org. Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. Just visit AnyPayInc.com and set up your account by entering your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes crypto like Bitcoin thanks to AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything you'd like. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
It's Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And thus far, we've been talking about the apparent conviction handed down this morning. And not apparent, it was handed down. There was a conviction handed down.
Apparently,
in the Christopher Cantwell case. And let's go to some of your calls and thoughts about it right away. We've got TJ the Spy calling us from Denver, Colorado. TJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Come back.
Yes, I know. Well, I will come back for the sentencing. I guess, we should all be good people and tell our favorite Chris Cantwell stories in support of Christopher Cantwell to the sentencing judge.
Does that mean...
will be taking it, since he's now convicted, if you have a good story or a good thing to say about Chris Cantwell, now's the time to think of it and write it down and sign your name and give it to the lawyer. And
see, when he started saying "kill all the Jews," I kind of lost my happy thoughts.
Yeah. Do you have a Christopher Cantwell story?
I actually do, and it involves you, Ian. If you recall, when the FBI raided our house, the Shire Free Church, I should say, and the home of the Liberty Radio Network, however you want to phrase it, the FBI came through the front door. You recall that fateful day, March 20th, 2016.
Yes.
At 6 a.m. You recall that, right?
I do, yep.
Oh, yeah, I was there.
Yeah. And I am so pleased to report last September, about a year ago, I filed a federal lawsuit against Scott Bailey, the agent, and they finally gave us our stuff back, and so we have all our computers back.
Oh, nice!
And,
really?
But if you
No. He only sued for to get his stuff back, so that did not include the other stuff that was not his, which was the church's stuff that is still in custody. Which the church would need to bring a similar suit, and I don't know how to do that stuff, and I don't want to spend time on it.
Right.
TJ, if you want to show me how to do that, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. I absolutely will be in touch, but, anywho, my story involves Chris. You'll recall after the feds left with all of our computers and camera equipment and studio equipment, and that's why the radio network was offline for a few hours, who was it who brought over the computers? He was like, buddy, I got computers, I got a cell phone, I got da-da-da-da-da, and by the way, there are fax machines spitting out copies of this search warrant around town saying that there's a child pornographer living in the house. And I said, oh, just wow, we're just having a huge day. And I got Mike Cronin from the news coming in and saying, why are they raiding the house? And I just said, I have no idea. But anywho, it was Chris
I
Cantwell
had ideas.
who brought over. Chris Cantwell was the guy who brought over the computers, was the one who got the network back online, if I recall, with all of his stuff. At least like he brought something. So he was there for us when, after the FBI just basically came and dealt us I don't know what that was. It was an armed robbery, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes,
was home invasion.
Was Chris Cantwell supposedly still a libertarian at this point?
I think he was your friend, too. He was like, buddy, I got your back. They're looking for you. I recall that he said that. Like, buddy, they're looking for you. There's a mob gathering in town thinking about, it's like, because we didn't know what was going on. All we knew is a bunch of armed goons from the government showed up, handed a piece of paper signed by a federal judge saying, hand over all your electronics, and if you refuse, you will be shot. That's basically, as I remember, how it happened.
Yeah. Well, that particular morning, I was outside, and the MAB gathering actually has a lot to do with my reaction to that, which is I told the FBI guys there, at least in the old Soviet Union, they just told people you were a lunatic and locked you in a mental hospital if you disagreed with the government. They didn't start calling you a kid toucher. So, because that's the kind of thing that gets people lynched.
Right.
And I said, why, if you ever come for me, why don't you just kill me rather than raising a lie like that?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the whole case, as you know, Rule 41B, the Second Court of Appeals, struck down the warrant as technically defective. So when I sued, I met with, the U.S. attorney, Michael McCormick, and he was very nice and pleasurable. They wanted to search my computers, and I basically said, well, you don't have a valid warrant, nor do you have probable cause, and under U.S. versus McCoud, it's really strange. They actually are dismissing all the cases that this playpen thing involved because the NIT is classified national defense information, apparently. And this is found out in the District of Washington, U.S. versus McCoud. And this Supreme Court, basically, the guy said, well, you have the right to confront your accuser under the Confrontation Clause. And so how does this NIT work? So they asked to see the source code.
NIT is Network Investigative Technique. It was the hacking tool that they had somehow installed on all of these people's computers who went to the child pornography site that was being run by the federal government, the FBI. Yes. So that's when you're saying NIT, that's what you're referring to.
That's what I'm referring to. Yes, sir.
But apparently did not exist on our computers.
Well,
my computer was never taken.
Second Circuit Court of Appeal, according to this case, they're basically saying that because the NIT, the Tor browser exploit that breaks the anonymity of Tor, it's being used in ongoing counterintelligence activities and counterterrorism activities. So it can't be disclosed in open court. That's what they said. That was their argument, and the judge
case got dropped.
The case had to be dropped. And I'm like, wait a minute. You mean we're going to let thousands of kitty diddlers go? We know they're guilty. We caught them.
No, that doesn't mean that. What that means is only the ones who pled not guilty would be let go. There were plenty of them that did take a guilty plea. They were caught with child pornography, and they took a plea. And those cases are closed. The fact that the warrant was bad at this point is immaterial to those case convictions.
Wow.
It is.
I think it would be found the fruit of the poison tree if
they took a guilty plea.
No. Once you've taken a guilty plea, you're done. Even if it turns out you're innocent,
doesn't matter.
Don't take the plea, man.
So I'm just going, well, this is a major problem because you either if you want to use they knew.
Well, now to go back to what you were saying there, Nobody, you said don't take the plea. And generally, I think that's a good idea, but I don't blame someone who does take the plea. In the case of Chris Cantwell, had he taken a plea in this particular case, he probably wouldn't be looking at several years behind bars and may even have gotten time served and let out. I don't remember exactly what was on the table, but he didn't want to be a felon, and he thought there was a chance he could win. So,
Yeah. And I can understand. I was in the same position, and I risked a lot of my life. I mean, not the same position in that I had nothing to do with Nazis, but
you were selling weed.
I was in the position of being prosecuted for selling weed, and I did not take the plea, which would have gotten me no time, because I didn't want to lose my right to keep and bear arms, or have them stop respecting that, because now I'm not a person.
Right, and now in order to appeal this, TJ, Cantwell, he would need his own attorney, right? Like, they're only going to provide you an attorney for the first level of court.
No, they would have provided me with a public defender for my appeal if I had so chosen.
Is that true at federal court, TJ?
I don't know about federal court, because I don't know with Chris as an indigent status what claims he could raise. It's one of those things because it's so bizarre. Obviously, you had 4 federal agents from the Boston field office. And by the way, I'd like to say thank you to Scott Bailey. He was such a gentleman to, after threatening him with a federal lawsuit. And I said, look, we're going to go in front of a federal judge. And if you want to explain to her or him.
Can we keep TJ?
Yeah, hey, TJ, stay on for another segment, will you? We're just going to put you on hold and do our business. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. We've got more of this discussion for you coming up.
With a MechTech Carbine Conversion Unit, you can turn an XD Family Glock or 1911 handgun into a carbine rifle in seconds and have it shipped right to your door, no FFL required. Now, MechTech is excited to announce our Pistol Carbine Conversion Unit. More compact with a 12-inch barrel and an arm brace, proving once again that MechTech is the world's most versatile handgun accessory. For a limited time, go to handgunconversions.com. That's handgunconversions.com and use coupon code RADIO to receive $35 off any carbine purchase.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live.
Who asked you?
Nobody. Nobody asked me. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number. We've been talking a bit about the conviction handed down for what equates to an internet argument between a couple of Nazis where the man Christopher Cantwell has been convicted of some sort of a felony after he got into an internet argument.
Two felonies.
Two felonies.
Interstate extortion, which carries a sentence of up to 15 years, if I recall correctly, and then interstate threatening, which apparently carries a sentence of up to 5 years.
So chances are, I believe the two would be served concurrent.
Could be concurrent and could be, according to sentencing guidelines. I spoke with Chris on the phone today. He said that it could be 41 to 51 months, but I wasn't sure if that was for all of the charges together or just
probably, I guess.
We'll talk more about that shortly. And also, we were talking to TJ the Spy, who is on hold. He had some thoughts on the matter. But from mid-March to mid-July, Divvy, the new easy-to-use cryptocurrency that we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live, increased in value over 10 times. Nothing is stopping Divvy from increasing exponentially again, and in fact, that is their goal. Divvy's price jumped 10 times in correlation with the release of their beta wallet. Will Divvy go up further when their wallet is fully released? I don't know, but at Free Talk Live, we're pretty happy with our decision to hook up with Divvy a year ago. You can go to divvyproject.org and begin earning Divvy by starting a masternode or staking Divvy. They have a lottery for people who stake the coin too. Opportunity has knocked every day here on Free Talk Live since last September. Will you answer? divvyproject.org. That's D-I-V-I project.org. Let's bring TJ the Spy back on the air.
Okay, let me give you a quick comment. I would read that as 10x rather than 10 times, because you're not saying the number of times that it increased. You're saying that it was
we've had this conversation
10x
before.
increase.
I read whatever's put on the teleprompter.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Anyway, TJ.
Anywho, I will be there. I will be there testifying in behalf of Christopher Cantwell, talking about what an upstanding person, how he's not a threat. Actually, I understand the gag, and I find some of his material. James and I will listen to it, and we will just laugh and laugh and laugh. My husband, James Robin Hood, who's a former co-host on the Liberty Radio Network. So, but
when you say you laugh at his material, I mean, what do you mean?
Well, it's just so funny. Just like, yeah, Chris, that's going to get the FBI looking at you. We're like, yeah, or we're like, whatever he says, it's just like, oh, I got it. It's like, I understand the gag. There are people who get Chris, and then there are people who get really irked by Chris.
I get really irked by Chris, even though I do have a good Chris story.
Well, TJ, I wanted to ask you, since we still have you on the line, how does this make you feel about the state of freedom of speech? Because it seems to me that this is
in very dangerous legal territory, because I've never said anything like, but I could imagine being mad enough at somebody to say something like what Chris said. And I'm like, well, it sounds like Chris was drunk on a Sunday night or whatever, and he was mouthing off to one of his guys. And I said, yeah, that's kind of, I've seen Chris say a lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's you know, it's just like it was Chris mouthing off, and he likes to he's a big puffer fish, and for whatever reason he thinks that the Jews are after him, and I don't know why. It's it's just he is who he is.
Well, the concern, of course, is that if they are going after, somebody who's politically unpopular, like Chris Cantwell, for saying these things that, as you point out, are incredibly common on the internet, then, who's coming next? Who are they going to target next?
Yeah, well,
and I'm sure, I'm always cognizant of everything that I say. Like, I always wondered how many federal agents are actually listening to your show.
Oh, bunches.
At least one.
I mean, that's the audience we know we have. Pretty much locked up.
If we could only get them to amp.
Yeah, we know. We're slowly, one by
I'm
one.
sure some of them do.
There's Phil Christiana. There's now Shane Tongbua. And there's, the assistant, we're slowly getting to know our court system one by one. Every time we have a case in front, there's, I keep hearing the same names, and I just don't know off the time. I'm a little tipsy right now, and my memory's failing.
Now, was Christiana involved in going after Chris?
He talked
to Chris. I don't think so. This was a totally new guy. I'd never heard his name before.
I don't think Christiana was involved in the prosecution, but Chris, Chris had admitted to speaking with Phil Christiana on the phone during the Charlottesville situation.
And I said, this is absolute garbage. Like, they sent 4 federal agents from the Boston field office or the New Hampshire resident agency, whichever you want. But they took 4 federal agents, bought them plane tickets. They flew them to the St. Louis field office. And I said, that's highly unusual, because normally they would just send a lead to the St. Louis field office and say, okay, you guys go interview this Benjamin Lambert guy or whoever, the alleged victim.
They're
but
probably
they flew 4 agents from Boston to Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, where I live with my dear sweet mother sometimes. And it's funny how Chris just keeps following me around. I swear, somehow. Wherever I go, his case
he's going to end up in federal prison in Denver or something like that. Next thing you know.
Oh, that would be hilarious. It's like the one place somebody would visit him.
Yeah. I'll be his sole friend coming to him. I'll have to, get married to him or something as a way to get in.
Wow.
The only way to
See, now you have me wondering if I would conduct that wedding, because I've been wanting to do a polyamorous wedding, and you're already married. I would love to add a third person to a wedding.
To James, so.
But I don't know if I'd marry a Nazi to a couple of Jews, because I don't know if I'd wed a Nazi to a couple of gay guys, because, they didn't like y'all very much either.
Well, no, that's how you know the Nazi party, the new Nazi party is getting desperate. They're like, okay, are you gay? Yeah. Are you anti-Jewish? I guess, whatever that means. Okay, well, you can be a Nazi, but, we're cool with the gay stuff, but, the Jew stuff, that's the key thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus, Jesus, spare me on my...
Well, thank you, TJ.
Yeah, thanks for the call tonight, TJ. We do appreciate it. Interesting perspective. Let's go right away to a caller who's going by the name of George Floyd. George, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello.
George going once.
Hello.
George going twice.
He's not there.
It's a ghost call.
It's the ghost of George Floyd. All right, well,
I'm sorry that happened to you, George. You didn't have that coming.
Yeah, indeed. So, I think that this conviction does not bode well for the state of freedom of speech, particularly in the geographic area known as the United States of America. And, if you're not concerned about it, then I don't know what to tell you. You should be concerned. The number of freedoms have been declining steadily in my lifetime, and they continue to go down, particularly with this whole coronavirus thing where they've just going along with governors just writing stuff down on pieces of paper.
Yeah, it's been an unprecedented year for attack on the First Amendment. I mean, we've reviewed the Bill of Rights before on Free Talk Live and kind of looked at the Communist Manifesto and seen how many of these rights are even still intact in any way, shape, or form, and very few of them had remained. But the First Amendment was the strongest of all of the amendments against the ongoing government attacks. But this year it has taken multiple hits. You've got this conviction of Chris Cantwell, a straight-up attack on speech on the internet, offensive speech, but that's where they always start with attacking speech, is the offensive stuff. You've got an attack on the freedom to assemble, or the right to assemble, which is also part of the First Amendment's supposed protected rights. Under the COVID restrictions, people's freedom to assemble has been completely wiped away in a lot of places across the United States.
With little argument from anybody. I mean, we've
been out.
But like the general
nobody's been out there fighting.
I'm just saying the general population is just like, oh well,
put a mask on.
Oh, I guess we can't gather now.
Yep. So gathering, the freedom of speech with regards to masks, obliterating the freedom to express yourself with your face. And then you've also got the freedom to redress grievances. It's one of the less talked about.
Don't forget Julian Assange either.
He's waiting extradition from.
He's still being attacked for reporting the truth.
Yes, that's true.
For exposing the crimes of America.
Yep. Well, he hasn't made it back to the U.S. yet, but yes, they would love to put him in prison as well. So that is certainly an important case. And so then there's the right to redress grievances, which is, again, a less talked about part of the First Amendment. But good luck getting into a city council meeting today. You can't.
Right. They're not holding them.
Well, they're holding them. They're just online. You don't have the same level of physical access to these people that you used to.
They can cut you off just by muting your microphone, just like you can.
And freedom of the press also attacked. I was not allowed to go into this court trial unless I wore a mask, which I can't do.
855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. Give us your calls and your thoughts. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Tests ready to go. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Abbott Labs ready to ship out millions of COVID-19 tests. The announcement made by President Trump this afternoon.
100 million rapid point-of-care tests will be given to states and territories to support efforts to reopen their economies and schools immediately and fast as they can.
The remainder will be given to nursing homes, hospice facilities, and historically black colleges and universities. The announcement coming one day before the first presidential debate, where the COVID-19 response will be one of the topics. A woman accused of sending a letter containing rat poison to the White House before a judge this afternoon.
53-year-old Pascal Ferrier will remain in federal custody for now, according to a U.S. court. Ferrier is the Canadian woman FBI agents say sent a letter containing the poison ricin to the White House, addressed to President Trump, threatening another attack unless he drops out of the presidential race. Ferrier was arrested when she tried crossing the Canadian-U.S. border in Buffalo, New York. The judge says she's a flight risk and won't be granted bond. Eben Brown, Fox News.
The census count will end October 5th, despite a federal judge's ruling last week that the count should continue through the end of October. The announcement coming in the form of a tweet from the Commerce Secretary on the Census Bureau's website. The announcement came as a virtual hearing was being held in California as a follow-up to the preliminary injunction in the case. More than 50,000 people fleeing their homes in California wine country as the so-called glass fire explodes in size.
A substantial number of structures have been damaged, wineries and other structures in and around the area.
Governor Gavin Newsom, evacuations were also ordered in Shasta County as the Zog fire spread over 23 square miles. The causes of the new fires are under investigation. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough, but you might be making it harder on yourself than necessary. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. It's time to upgrade to NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place, instantaneously. Whether you're doing 1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite. Join the over 21,000 companies using NetSuite.
Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
The Midwest seeing an increase in cases of COVID-19.
Over the past 7 days, North Dakota's positive coronavirus test rate has averaged 30%, up 24% from the prior week. South Dakota, a 26% increase in positive virus tests and a 27% increase in Wisconsin, according to the state departments of health. In Wisconsin, over 115,000 have tested positive out of over 1.5 million tests, though all but 19,000 have recovered. And as of this weekend, only 574 were hospitalized. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
More regions of Italy considering mask mandates while people are outside as infections continue to rise there. Italy added nearly 1,500 COVID-19 infections and 16 deaths to its confirmed virus toll today. The Lazio region around Rome is the latest to announce it's considering a mask mandate as infections rise and testing capacities lag. Over the weekend, Sicily and Campania in the south joined Genoa in northern Italy in requiring
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Police in Lehman, Michigan describe a local student's recently foiled plans to commit a deadly school shooting as, quote, embarrassingly bad. Authorities apprehended 17-year-old Trent Bayer Thursday after finding him in an empty hallway struggling to load a pathetically small caliber pistol while simultaneously attempting to unfold an inaccurate map of the school. Lehman Police Chief Ethan Holman elaborated several ways Bayer's strategy could have been more effective, including setting off a homemade explosive in the teacher's lounge, executing popular students first, and at the very least purchasing some military fatigues.
You're not going to intimidate anyone by wearing a tucked-in button-down shirt and pleated trousers.
In other news, a jar of change on a dresser is sadly factoring into a number of financial decisions. A teen zebra doesn't give a shit how much you honk, it's not getting out of the road. And Dad's new 20-year-old Thai boyfriend really sucks at categories. And don't forget to never ever drink Pepsi Cola, whose dipshit marketing team backed out of a full-page ad buy at the last minute. For more news, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, the voice you just heard was correct. This is Free Talk Live. This time, somebody actually, well, I guess he didn't ask me, nobody, but he did say it. And so now I'm confirming, yes, he was correct.
Who?
The guy who just said Free Talk Live before I said Free Talk Live.
Oh, yes, yes.
You know, in the intro music, there's that guy who goes, Free Talk Live. I think his name is Zeus. Is that the guy?
That's him.
Is that Zeus?
I believe so, yeah.
The one who turned into a cow?
I don't know about that part.
I don't know about that either.
Didn't Zeus turn into a bull? No, he turned into a bull to pursue one of his mortal targets.
All right. Well, if this is Free Talk Live, our toll-free number is 855-450-3733, or as we like to say, 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
I was talking about this during the break with these guys. I wanted to mention it on the air. I had to do a thing for my day job, and so while I was doing the thing, I turned on a football game. And during the football game, I saw propaganda, obvious propaganda, for something called Mask Up America.
Oh, boy.
Hashtag Mask Up America. Now, I'm paraphrasing the entire commercial here, but it went something like this. We live in unprecedented times. It's got ominous music playing in the background, and a stern but low talking voice, or low. He's not yelling or anything. We live in unprecedented times in America, and
we certainly are.
And there are some folks out there who don't want to wear masks. Come on.
You should have pulled it up, man. You should have pulled it up online. It's got to be there.
I couldn't find the exact one. They have a variety of these commercials.
They're probably all bad.
We certainly do live in perilous times, because the last time we reacted to a disease this way, it was like the Black Plague,
right,
which killed off 33% of Europe. And now they're behaving the same. I mean, they're doing the same sorts of things they did during the Black Plague, only maybe this will kill at most. I mean, if everybody got it, it would kill 0.5% of the population.
Yeah. So my point is that this propaganda was presented on national television, and their entire argument was, come on.
Yeah, that was the best they could come up with.
They didn't present any facts or evidence or anything like that.
They should have screamed, "The science is settled," because the scientists don't agree on this.
The best they could do was come on, and then follow it with Mask Up America with a hashtag Mask Up America.
Well, clearly the sentiment is supposed to be that it's so obvious. I mean, clearly you guys are in the minority. Why don't you just jump on the bandwagon?
Yeah.
It's funny when you turn off your television, semi-permanently, and that is to say that when I turned on this thing, I didn't turn on regular television or cable television. I had to stream it.
You're watching a bootleg.
I'm watching, somebody else, somebody else's television who's rebroadcasting it across the internet. just to get this program on while I was doing my thing. But I was just like, oh my gosh. When you turn off the TV and then you turn it back on, you recognize the obvious propaganda, right? Unlike when you just have TV on all the time, it's just a thing that's on in the background and things just go by you and you don't notice them as much. When you turn it off and then you turn it back on for like 3 hours, you're just amazed at the level of stupidity that apparently is prevalent amongst humanity. There was a commercial for the presidential debate between Trump and Biden, right? And it looked almost exactly like a WWE showcase, right? They're like, Trump, dun, 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 Biden, dun, 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 and they had like little clips from each one, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible.
I guess Joe Jorgensen is the revolution because the revolution will not be televised.
Yeah.
Kill your TV.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that on air. I am horrified by the national propaganda, and this is just another clue, right? If something requires national advertising to do, you might want to look into why. Why do they feel it needs national frickin' advertising?
In a real pandemic, a real epidemic, you don't have to work to get people scared because their friends are getting sick. Their families are dying. They see these things happening next to us. What do we see happening next to us? How many sick people do you know? Any of you listening, how many sick people do you know? Ask yourself that. I don't know. Maybe all our listeners are hip to this, but good God, it kills me that people are falling for this.
Yeah, and with little resistance, if any.
Yeah,
and near as I can tell, we're it.
Yeah,
sadly.
Even people that I regarded as principled libertarians are falling for this, and it's like, and partially I understand it because the fear is, of course, that I'll turn out to be wrong and had some hand in making this thing worse in the lens of history, but I do not believe that is possible. Right. You know,
honestly, I don't care. Even if it were real, I am not going to be told what to do by these government goons who are never trustworthy. And maybe there would be some sensible things that one could do if it were actually a real threat. But there's no reason to believe that it is in any way a significant threat whatsoever. But even if it were a real threat, I still would distrust whatever the government were saying.
And to that point, I would like to point out that the government has not been saying anything about how to actually stay healthy, how to improve your immune system, they're saying nothing about
they said
these
wash your
things.
hands. I mean, that's generally good sanitation.
Well, that's something, but vitamin D, vitamin C,
get more exercise,
sunlight.
They don't want you to get sunlight. No, they don't want
you to eat healthier. They don't want you to get good nutrition. They don't want, they're saying nothing about, they're not bringing in any doctors to say, hey, here's what you can do in your daily lives to help boost your immune system, which is really what you need, right? Because the human immune system is, as near as I can tell, the best option that we have to combat these types of things.
Yeah, well, it was the one that was built by the invisible hand of evolution, and that tends to do work better than any human mind is going to do in finding what really works.
Yeah, it really gets me.
That's why eugenics is a bad idea. We can't do the kind of job that nature can do in designing a species.
I did look it up. Apparently, Andrew Cuomo is behind the Mask Up America campaign. So,
the governor of New York.
Yeah.
Oh, the dirtbag, the one who wants to grab all the guns.
That's the one.
No, not all of them. He wants his men to have them.
Right.
True. But once his men have them, I think they've technically been grabbed.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking in the previous couple of segments about the Christopher Cantwell trial, a man who is looking at federal sentencing for what equates to an internet argument. These are, near as I could tell, unprecedented events with regards to freedom of speech.
Yep, he's a political prisoner.
And I don't have better news. This from abcnews.com. Man gets 1 year in jail for holding large parties against COVID-19 rules.
No more fun allowed. I mean, we've been saying this all year long. It's over.
Yeah, and no protest, because this must have been, at least to some extent, a protest.
Well, I don't know about that. It might have just been a party.
I don't know. I think that by breaking a rule, you always somewhat protest that rule. You're saying this isn't right.
Yes.
Just about.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to believe that, but on the other hand, when I was in jail for civil disobedience, I was in there with guys who had done nothing wrong, but yet believed that they still needed to be punished because they got caught doing something that they were told was wrong. So
yeah,
so it wasn't a protest for them to sell marijuana. It was just what they wanted to do to make some money, and now they're sorry because they got caught.
Well, I think that's to some extent a defense, in that is the gangster kind of view of things. Is it's all a game, and they played the game better than I played the game if I got busted.
Well, it wasn't a defense. They were already convicted.
Yeah, I'm talking psychological defense.
We'll get more into the tale of Sean Myers, a 42-year-old who held 2 large parties within 1 week and now faces jail. This is Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Despite years of warnings about cryptocurrency, criminals prefer U.S. dollars for money laundering, study shows. Jim Rogers predicts end of U.S. dollar dominance. Macro strategist Raul Paul says Bitcoin beats gold in every way. New crypto, sushi, plummets around rumors of exit scam. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Free Talk Live.
I don't believe in homosexuality.
Should homosexuality be outlawed, Rita?
I think not only homosexuality, but prostitution and fornication.
Fornication?
Are you going to pass laws against people masturbating?
I beg your pardon, sir.
Would you pass laws against people masturbating, ma'am?
I'm very much offended that you would ask me such a question.
What, you can't answer a simple question?
Would you pass a law against people masturbating?
Sir, I
mean, you want to pass laws against 2 men having sex. I'm just asking you a question.
She said she wanted to pass law against fornication. That's just anybody having sex.
Anybody having sex.
Okay, Rita, let's say I have a fiancé and you overheard us having sex. Would you report us to the cops if there was a law against fornication?
You darn right, sir.
Yeah? How dare you?
How dare
you? Who do you think you are?
How dare you, sir? Who do you
How
think
dare
you
I
are?
have sex with a consenting adult?
On my own property?
You're a moral reprobate, and you're one of the ones who are helping to disintegrate this country.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, everybody, to Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in talk show program where you can call and talk about anything that's on your mind. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. And Intercoin's architecture enables programmable coins with a variety of applications. Merchants can add tags like books, food, or clothing to their products. And authorized users can see statistics on how money was spent. Experts can analyze the local economy. Donors and investors can have more confidence. Everyone in the community can have a real-time consumer price index to inform their democratic decision-making and address issues like rising prices or shrinking wages. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space. We think that is important here on Free Talk Live, so important that Free Talk Live accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Inc. in exchange for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. That's intercoin.org. And in the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And Ian.
And nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
We just began mentioning this article from ABC News from September 26th. Sean Myers, age 42, held 2 large parties within 1 week, prosecutors say. And the headline reads, "Man gets 1 year in jail for holding large parties against COVID-19 rules." We haven't even started the article, but I just want to say we have seen today the conviction, 2 felonies, of Christopher Cantwell for what he amounts to an internet argument.
Yeah.
A little flame war, which have been going on since the dawn of the internet.
Yeah, a private flame war that the so-called victim never reported to police.
Yeah. And now we're seeing a man facing a year. It says he got 1 year, so apparently a man...
Sentence. He took a guilty plea, I would guess.
A Maryland man, this is from the article.
No, it says there's a trial.
A Maryland man has been sentenced to 1 year in jail after he hosted 2 parties against the governor's COVID-19 large gathering orders, prosecutors said.
And this was Maryland? Okay.
Maryland.
See, this is an important... There's 2 more chances to get rid of this, and one is at the state Supreme Court level, and the other is at the federal Supreme Court level. And so if I were this guy, I would be filing a civil rights complaint with the state and federal government and see if something can be done.
Again, it's a clear violation of his right to assemble.
Absolutely.
And
that kind of decision is not made in the trial court. It's made in the appeals court every single time.
But he may not have the money to go to appeals.
Well, that's a great time for a GoFundMe. I didn't have the money to go to appeal, but on an important issue, I was able to raise $16,000 from behind jail walls. So,
what is a bench trial?
A bench trial is a trial by judge as opposed to a trial by jury.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I would not have gone to in this case, because the judge is going to be interested in the letter of the law, which says that constitutional issues don't matter in a trial court,
Right.
whereas a jury might well see through this all the way to the constitutional issue
They probably
and
wouldn't,
basically nullify.
I mean,
They
there's a chance.
probably
You have a
wouldn't,
better
but
chance
It
with
only
a-
takes 1 in
Right.
12. I mean, if
To
you
hang
have
the
an
jury.
opportunity to do jury duty, do jury duty and acquit some poor bastard like
Right.
this.
Yep.
This says, following a bench trial, Sean Marshall Myers, age 42, was convicted of 2 counts of failure to comply with an emergency order, according to a Friday statement from the Charles County State Attorney's Office. On March 22nd, officers responded to Myers' home in Hughesville for a report of a large party violating Governor Larry Hogan's state of emergency and large gathering orders.
We should call these guys Hogan's heroes.
Hogan's the guys who were responding to this party were Hogan's zeros for sure.
Definitely.
Officers found about 50 people. Ooh, wow. 50 people at Myers' home. And they told Myers that his party violated the current rules, prosecutors said. Myers allegedly argued with the officers, but he eventually agreed to disband his party, prosecutors said.
Anarchists of America, disband.
Mistake number 1 was talking to the officers.
Don't talk to the police.
Now, we don't know what the situation was when the cops arrived at the house, but if you're having a party in violation and there's, whether it's a high school party, college party, whatever, or it's just some guy throwing a party, if the cops show up, don't answer the door. That would be what I would suggest. I'm not an attorney, so I can't give legal advice, but
Sure.
if I were you, I wouldn't even answer the door. There's no benefit to it.
Now, at a party, though, like...
The problem is some drunk guy is going to open the door, so you've got to have a doorman.
Yeah, if there's parties like I've been to, like just some guy having hey, the pizza's here, whatever, right?
Yeah, you got to stop that from happening.
See, what I do, if anything, like when cops came to the Keene Activist Center next door to the studio, back when it was that, I would slip out the back door, come up behind the cops, and basically say, "Can I help you?" And they'd they'd want to ask me, no, you got to get off the property first. I'm not going to talk to you while you're on the property because you've been told you don't belong there. And so I will try to draw them away. Now, of course, I'm a professional activist, so that makes me kind of a cop wrangler. I've had to learn. So kids, don't try this at home, maybe, but it's worked for me.
Yeah, these are just some ideas, not legal advice. But ideas,
nobody's qualified to give you legal advice on this show.
Ideas, nonetheless, you decide whether they're good for you. Days later, on March 27th, officers again responded to Myers' home for another report of a party with more than 50 people. So the cops came to his first party. He was like, okay, we'll shut it down. And then the next week, he had another party, because why not, right?
Sounds like he's got some bad neighbors somewhere.
Yep. Well, I appreciate that he will fight for our right to party.
He got blue hair in that photograph there?
It does appear as if he has blue hair, yeah. My advice to you, do not wait to be a grandmother to have blue hair. At any rate,
I will certainly not wait till I am a grandmother.
Officers told Myers to disband the second party as well, but again, he was argumentative, claiming he and his guests had the right to congregate.
How dare he?
Damn right.
How dare he exercise his rights as a human being, according to the prosecutors. Myers also allegedly told his guests to stay in defiance of Governor Hogan's orders and the officers' lawful orders to disband
This
the
guy's
party.
great.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, I missed out on a good party, apparently.
Well, if nothing else, we should be putting money on his books.
Officers tried to reason with Myers and obtain his cooperation. That can't be true. This is a quote from the prosecutors. That can't be true. If they tried to reason with him, they would have realized that what they're doing is unreasonable.
Well, maybe they tried to reason with him, but they could not reason.
There was no reason for them to reason because the whole thing was unreasonable.
I cannot reason. My wit's diseased.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Is it time for you to fight for your right to party? We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
DINOVITE.com. We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dynavite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Sounds just like that.
Yeah, that's what I call guitar ease. Right. So sometimes when you're explaining a guitar riff to another member of your band or other musicians, and musicians.
Guitar ease?
Yeah, guitar
Please tell me
ease.
that's not the name of lubricant.
No, that's fret ease.
Okay.
Is what that is. But that's to make your fretboard nice and slick so that you can do all your wheedly wows and stuff like that.
Okay,
but,
groovy.
Yeah, guitar ease.
Although anything can be a dildo if you have the courage, it's just a bad plan.
No, guitar ease is something like I used to call it Jagengengao, right?
Huh?
Jagengengao? Right, yeah, because I'm like, hey, check out this riff,
That
bro.
sounds delicious.
It's Jagengengao, right?
Oh,
and,
okay.
And the drum goes, oh, you mean like dun 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 dun, and he starts playing that, right? And I'm like, yeah, just like that, right? So that would be, guitar ease. So anyway.
Okay, gotcha. I have spoken that language.
Anyway, do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and you want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Because now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. It only takes a moment. They've made it really easy. Just visit anypayinc.com, set up your account by entering your crypto wallet addresses in the admin, then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce, and that's it.
Ooh.
Now your website takes cryptocurrency thanks to anypayinc.com. That's anypayinc.com. And thanks to those guys for putting that together, because that's it just makes me want to open some sort of a website that's crypto only, slap that up as your only payment option and, go that route. At any rate, we were talking about a gentleman, 42 years old, Sean Myers, out of Maryland, who apparently has received a 1-year jail sentence for holding large parties against the COVID-19, it says rules here, but the mandates from the governor of Maryland.
Wow.
He held a party. The cops were called. He eventually agreed to, okay, I'll shut the party down. He held another party a week later. The cops showed up again. They say he was argumentative. He told his guests, no, don't go. No, we're going to continue partying. And then it says the officers tried to reason with him and obtain his cooperation to no avail, which we said was not true, because if the officers really used reason, they would realize that they're the unreasonable ones in this situation. But nonetheless, Myers was then arrested.
Wow. See, copyright is brain damage, because I really want to put on the Beastie Boys for 3 minutes as a tribute to this guy.
Now, this is about as far as the article goes. There is one more statement here that I wanted to make sure we made. After Myers is released from his 1 year in jail, he will be on unsupervised probation for 3 years.
Wow. So he basically got the same thing I got for selling 4 quarter pounds of weed and 2 hits of LSD.
Yep.
Just by means of comparison.
For having a party on his own property.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean,
when Mom was out of town. Mom didn't say he could.
I don't feel like I should have to say it to the listeners, but I will. This does not bode well for freedom in the geographic area known as the United States of America.
It certainly doesn't bode well for freedom in Maryland. And if you're in Maryland and you're looking for a place to escape, we haven't had any arrests for partying in New Hampshire yet.
Yeah, that's true. Not
well,
yet.
I mean, unless you count smoking weed on the common, but they've gotten over that.
That hasn't happened in years.
Nah.
But there was a ticketing for setting off a mortar firework last weekend at the parties we've been throwing in Central Square. So that's not I mean, some could argue that ticketing is technically an arrest, but it's certainly not what people think of when they hear the term arrest.
Yeah, and he's not going to do a year in jail. He's not.
Worst case would be 2 days.
Oh yeah, if he chose not to pay the fine, then
yeah,
that would be worst case 2 days.
Yeah, it's all very disturbing. I wish the best to Sean Myers.
But in that case, that was for a so-called, quote, display of fireworks, which was already on the books, so it certainly wasn't a new ordinance that didn't have anything to do with the governor's order.
Yeah, it wasn't any COVID nonsense. Yeah. It was pre-existing nonsense.
Yeah. The police did confiscate some wine that was sitting there.
They did steal somebody's wine. We'll never know whose it was.
It couldn't have been nobody's. It must have been somebody's.
Looked like a reasonably full box of, Franzia or something?
Something like that.
One of those, bladder in a box type deals.
It's tragic. Somebody got that wine, and it wasn't us.
Nobody was inclined to claim it.
Somebody did ask, as the officers confiscated it, if the officers were thirsty.
True.
You officers thirsty tonight? You gonna tie one on? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't respond, of course.
Winejackers.
Winejackers.
Well, this whole thing with the guy getting arrested and now going to jail, apparently for a year, because he wanted to throw parties, which, should be his right to do as long as he's not destroying his neighbor's property or keeping them awake or whatever. I think that he's absolutely within his rights in that particular case. But so apparently those rights don't exist anymore. It's sad, but it's over. Sorry, America. Freedom is dead. The First Amendment has been attacked this year, and it's been attacked in an unprecedented level that I've never seen in my lifetime, and it's really bad.
Yeah. See, when you said, "Isn't this America?" I'm flashing back to the South Park episode with white trash in trouble. When every time white people drink Bush, or was it Bush beer? Basically, they'd end up getting arrested, and the cops would make them say for the cops takeoff show they were doing, as they were putting them in the car, they'd beat them up until they said, "I'm white trash and I'm in trouble."
It is a horrifying state of affairs. I can't believe this is happening. We've got people going to prison for having an internet argument. We've got people going to jail for merely having a gathering on their own parties gathering on their own property of a party. I don't know what it's going to take for people other than us, right, to try and do something about it. And I'm talking about standing up to these bastards. I'm talking about the possibility of congregating with others who are of the like mind in an area where you can do something and make a difference, like the New Hampshire Freedom Movement, for example.
It seems like the best bet to me, and there aren't a whole lot of options out there.
Yeah.
No, there isn't. And
I mean, if you want to do a less extreme form of congregation, I do recommend getting on the LRN.FM Matrix server, so you can congregate with us from afar and maybe learn more about it in a safe and private environment.
We saw last week the woman at a football game. I believe it was a high school football game. Got
middle
tased,
school, elementary. It was actually younger than high school.
Got tased and arrested for not wearing a mask, even though they were social distancing. She was sitting with her family in a a bleachered area.
Nothing will be acceptable except total compliance.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is when you put up memes about that on Facebook, the Facebook Ministry of Truth says that that's not actually true. She wasn't arrested for not wearing the mask. She was arrested for trespassing, and it's like,
at
but why did they ask her to leave a public place?
Right.
Oh, because she wasn't wearing a mask. So that's just how the Ministry of Truth uses truths to lie to you.
Well, that's what they also charged Rochelle Kelly with here in New Hampshire. Which I posted an update to last week at freekeen.com. She was one of the mothers who was targeted by police at the Concord playground earlier this year.
Taking her kid to the playground, right.
They didn't charge her with violating the governor's orders. They charged her with criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. She's now facing 2 years in jail because that's going to help her kids.
I want to see the militia muster at her trial.
Yeah, I want to see a whole bunch of things, and, well, one of them is the end of the organization known as the state. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've got your calls and thoughts coming up on Free Talk Live.
Attention radio listeners, if you're concerned about the coming chaos after the November elections, this will be an extremely important message. Here's why. No matter what the outcome in November, catastrophic social upheaval is a very real possibility. Here's why this is important. Listen, we all know that silver and gold have been historic hedges against the uncertain waves of social chaos and unstable currencies. But did you know that there's been times in the past, during times of extreme hardship, when Americans put another store of value above even silver and gold? It's true, open pollinated seeds have been and could very well be the ultimate store of value in the coming hard times ahead. Go to survivalseedbank.com to get heirloom seeds below wholesale. Visit survivalseedbank.com this week and get hundreds of dollars in free bonuses. Beat the coming chaos, beat rising food prices, but above all, don't wait. Beat the crowds by claiming your own Survival Seed Bank today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Welcome back to it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE, as in freedom, and we'll get to your calls and your thoughts in just a moment. I am your host this evening, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me in the studio,
it's Ian.
And nobody.
We've been talking about this article from abcnews.com about Sean Myers, a 42-year-old who, well, he threw a couple of parties on his own property. This apparently violated the governor's mandates, and so he was arrested and sentenced to 1 year in jail plus 3 years of probation when he gets out for merely holding parties at his property.
Good Lord.
So
that'll teach you to disobey His Excellency.
Is he His Excellency, Sue? Do they call all of them that? The governors?
No, I don't know what they call them in Maryland. They may have a different term.
I think it's just Governor Snoo that does that here in the Shire.
I don't.
Governor
Maybe
Snoo. Yeah. He gives good snoo.
Some of the New England states are similar, but I don't know which ones would have that same terminology.
Well, let's do what we do here on Free Talk Live. Let's go with Joe in Grand Rapids. You're on Free Talk Live, Joe. What's up?
Yeah, I've got neighbors that thrown parties. I've had get-togethers at my house. Just this weekend, my one neighbor had a massive family get-together. You know what I did? I minded my own business, and I think what really gets me, I don't know, not disappointing. It makes me mad to think that there are people out there who they got nothing better to do with their time, and they're having a barbecue and they're not social. They don't have masks on.
Mm-hmm.
They're not social distance. It's like that woman at the football game. She was social distancing. She was away from everybody. Some little Karen, some government collaborator, they called. They had to. I mean,
yeah.
It's how much more of this are people going to take?
That is a great question, Joe. I don't know. It boggles my mind that this can even happen today, much less happen where there's video of an altercation like the woman at the football game not wearing the mask, where the cop indeed does tase her and nobody stands up to do anything about it. All the people around just go, oh my gosh, what's going on? And they're quick to pull up their cell phones and film it, but they're not quick to get up and help their fellow man when they're being persecuted by armed thugs.
That cop should have been bum rushed, dude, by everybody in the stands, what he did.
Just like the guy who got George Floyd.
People standing around, it's all over the internet. Every time you'll see something, something terrible happen to somebody in our modern culture. Oh, let me get my phone out instead of doing something. But this mask stuff, man, everybody knows they don't work. These little paper cloth masks people are wearing.
But they keep going along with it.
People are scared to do anything about it, stand up to it.
Yeah.
And it's this thing of, if you can get people or a person to say or do something that they know is not true, you're like, it's like you're killing their spirit or you're taking away their humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, that may sound over the top, but I mean, what's next? Are we going to have to wear freaking hazmat suits just to go grocery shopping? And what gets me about it is the curve was flattened a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
remember, it was 2 weeks, 6 months ago.
I think that death of self that you mentioned is what Shakespeare was talking about when he said the coward dies 1,000 deaths and the hero dies but one.
Yeah, it's 100% true. And, I don't know. It's embarrassing, depressing that, I guess, in a way, that there are so many people that are just willing to, just wear the mask. Don't make a big deal about it.
So when you move into New Hampshire, Joe?
Something. What's that?
When are you moving to New Hampshire?
I don't know, man. You guys got some liberals.
Okay, I'm from Ann Arbor, so don't you tell me we ain't got no liberals in Michigan, bro.
Well, I've been South Dakota's been kind of looking pretty good to me. I'm a very big Second Amendment guy, and I'd have to move someplace that's.
New Hampshire has constitutional carry, bro. Keep up.
Yeah, I've looked into
no
it.
permit required, concealed or
and all that stuff.
Yep. Well, we do have a small but vocal contingent of activists here who are trying to do something about it. We've experienced things like, we went and had dinner the other night with no masks on at a restaurant, even
a nice restaurant,
like an adult.
Yeah,
like a normal human being,
like normal.
Yeah,
yeah.
Not some little oh, can I come and eat in your restaurant? Oh, we can only let so many. How are these businesses supposed to make it? When
they're not. They're not supposed to make it.
They're not. They're continuing to close down. The ones who closed and remain closed, 50% of them are not going to reopen.
60%.
60%.
Yeah. The idea seems to be to shut down all the small businesses, so the Fortune 500 makes all the money there is to be made.
Yeah, you'll notice all the essential businesses were large enterprises, large corporate enterprises.
Yeah.
Walmart is essential, but Bob's Tool Shack is not essential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think there's some. I don't know. there's so many conspiracy theories out there about this crap, but I tell you what, these politicians need to be held accountable. And these, if you know, people in your life that are like, you know, the tattletale little Karens and stuff, just get them out of your life, man. I mean,
yeah, I agree with you, Joe, and thank you for
maskers and the ones that, you know, you can't, you know, they're just really, you know them, if you know them personally or whatever. It's hard with family and stuff, but I just can't stand sheep anymore. I've about had it. So.
All right, Joe. Thank you for the call tonight. We do appreciate it. I'm with him. I
say bah on sheep.
Everybody seems very sheepish, very unable to mind their own business when it's appropriate. There seems to be, a culture of snitches at this point. We've seen the toll-free hotlines that some of these governments are putting up for people to call, or websites even, where if you see somebody not complying with the mandates, please call this toll-free number or visit us at blah, 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 snitch.com or whatever the heck it is. And, let us know that somebody's violating these things, and we'll take care of it for you.
Yep. Yeah. The Ministry of Truth will get you.
No, sir, I don't like it. Let's go to Olivia in Phoenix. Olivia, you are on Free Talk Live. How are you?
Hey, guys.
Hi, Olivia.
Doing good.
What's going on?
I wanted to talk about, like, a few different things, but the first one was I've been loving Nobody Tells the Truth. Both you and Nobody have, like, really amazing life stories.
Well,
they would make really amazing, like, graphic novels or something. I hope one day you record like everything. Yeah.
Well, much of my story is graphic.
But so I hope y'all keep doing it. Like, what days do you do the show on?
I do the show every Friday at 10:30 to 12. And the ones that I really like, I push through to the to the Free Talk Live channel. But not all of them. So feel free to check in on either the D Live or the Twitch channel, and those will have all of them.
Awesome. Well, I really called in to talk about the guy going to jail for an internet argument, and then the guy who's getting a year and then three years of probation for a party or two.
Yeah, pretty unbelievable, huh?
Really. Who do they think they're going to protect with 3 years of probation? Like, they're obviously just making that guy miserable and trying to catch him on some kind of, like, traffic ticket or something so they can lock him up. That's ridiculous.
That's what probation's all about.
Ridiculous.
Probation is a trap.
Yeah, it's all about putting people on absolutely ridiculous restrictions so they can easily violate them and get caught. Now, they did say it was, quote, unsupervised probation, I believe, that he was facing.
Yeah.
So it could be worse, I suppose, in that case. That doesn't sound like they're going to be busting into his house and searching for, trying to find a beer in the fridge so they can violate him in that case. But still, any amount of punishment for having a group of people together voluntarily on a piece of property that you supposedly own is too much punishment.
Well, and he's still going to jail for a year. So
yeah, that's why I say any amount is too much.
And it still gives them the opportunity to go after him if he speaks out.
Right.
I think that's a lot of the reason for unsupervised probation.
Olivia?
Right. And yeah, I've known people who went to jail not for the original offense, but like for some nonsense parking ticket or speeding ticket, something no one should go to jail for. And that was really, it ruined their life. And but I was just thinking also that what's funny, I actually really enjoy wearing a mask. I don't actually wear a mask, I wear a bandana, but I found it's really useful to keep the dust out of your nose and the sun off your face, and you don't have to smile at strangers. And I have something.
It's your choice. Do you want to hang on? Do you want to hang on, Olivia?
Yeah.
All right, stand by. All right, 855 450 free. We've got more with Olivia and Free Talk Live for you coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, The Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Preps underway. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 25 hours from now, the first presidential debate will get underway, and Trump 2020 National Press Secretary Hogan Gidley says the choice is clear.
Donald Trump has a 47-month career of record-setting success. Joe Biden has a 47-year career of record-setting failure. I think that's going to be on full display tomorrow night.
Former Vice President Biden is expected to arrive in Cleveland tomorrow afternoon. COVID-19 guidelines will be in place during the debate.
Biden and Trump will not be shaking hands. They won't even elbow bump as a COVID-19 consideration. Biden has been keeping a very light schedule the last few days as he preps for tomorrow night's debate. The Trump stand-in there in Wilmington has been Bob Bauer, the former Obama White House general counsel. And it sounds like a lot of the practice has been answers about possible conflicts of interest involving Biden's son, Hunter.
Fox's Peter Doocy. Fox News Democracy 2020 coverage of the first presidential debate, moderated by Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace, tomorrow, live on the Fox News channel and Fox News app. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Democrats are unveiling a new $2.2 trillion coronavirus relief package, which she calls a compromise measure that reduces costs. Pelosi spoke by phone this evening to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and the two agreed to speak again tomorrow morning. The only person charged in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor in court today.
Former Louisville police officer Brett Hankinson's lawyer in Jefferson County Court via conference call pleading
not guilty to each count.
To 3 counts of wanton endangerment for allegedly firing blindly into neighboring apartments when police conducted a drug warrant search of Breonna Taylor's apartment in March.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Taylor's family continues to call for the release of evidence presented to the grand jury. America is listening to Fox News.
News Channel. Adjusting to a new normal means we need to be smart about how we do business. Thousands of small business owners have discovered the benefits of Stamps.com and kept their businesses running while avoiding trips to the post office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and you'll never pay full price, with access to discounted rates you can't even get at the post office, like 5 cents off every stamp and up to 62% off USPS and UPS shipping rates. Don't waste time at the post office or UPS store. Print official stamps and labels right from your home or office computer for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, just leave it for your mail carrier, schedule a free package pickup, or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. That's Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
An Ohio judge rules it's too close to the election to change a ballot signature procedure, but he also says there are issues with the process that matches signatures to voters.
District Judge Michael Watson said in his ruling, altering procedures now as many residents are casting their ballots could undermine public confidence in the process. 2 residents sued in July, backed by voting rights groups, saying their ballots were not counted because signatures did not match. They argue the requirement of cross-checking signatures is unconstitutional. The Ohio League of Women Voters says it agrees with the judge's assertion that the signature match is burdensome, but is disappointed the judge declined to change the process. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A curfew lifted in Louisville, Kentucky, where many people have been arrested after days of protests over the grand jury decision to not charge police officers involved in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. This as a state lawmaker says she will propose Kentucky's legal definition of a riot after a
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
House of Representatives Bill 323, the IHOP should stay open all night so we can get some Pancakes Act. This bill was submitted for immediate review very late last night under the provisions of the National Emergency Legislation Act.
Can we dim the lights? It's really bright.
H.R. 323 would by federal order require all IHOP restaurants to, quote, remain open 24 hours effective right this minute, even if some manager has to get out of bed and drive down here to start making some pancakes.
Well, we stand by the bill.
Right. We wrote it, apparently.
This bill would also require the federal government pay to build a tram or monorail or whatever connecting the Black Sheep Pub on North Capitol Street to all IHOP restaurants.
I think
in the
we made
city.
some illustrations of
The bill
that.
gives the estimated cost of the tram as probably not even that much. You are wasting my time and the time of this committee.
I gotta go.
What? Congressman, this committee is still in session. You can't...
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
Hello.
This Monday. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Yes, it is Free Talk Live.
Could we cut that seat into multiple pieces then and sell it multiple times? Because that seems like the capitalistic solution.
Well, they said they'd sell you the whole seat, but you'd only need the edge. So the rest of it does seem unnecessary, but they'd still sell it to you because they said they would.
Okay, well, you got to do what you say you will.
I think so. I mean, in order to maintain any sort of business integrity. 855-450-3733. That's 855-450, free as in freedom, if you want to call and talk about, well, anything or any of the stuff we've been talking about tonight. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And I wanted to take a minute to thank tonight's amplifier, Scott. He's a gold amplifier. How much does that mean he gives?
Great Scott.
$10 a month.
He gives $10 a month to Free Talk Live through the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com. If you don't know what that is, it's a program where you can contribute to getting this show onto more radio stations. We're currently on somewhere around 190. We could be on more. We could be on 200, 250.
Sure.
It's all up to you. That's amp.freetalklive.com. There's some cool benefits for you being an amplifier, some little perks we throw you from time to time, and that type of a thing. So thank you to Scott for your generosity and getting us onto more radio stations. Let's go back to Olivia in Phoenix. Olivia, you had some more to say.
Yes. Okay. Number one, best reason to wear a mask. So in Scottsdale, which is right up the road from Phoenix, they still have red light cameras, which is so stupid. But in Arizona, like on the highways, they banned red light cameras, but cities can still do what they want. But Phoenix got rid of them, but Scottsdale's really rich, so they kept them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can't identify you in the photo and match you to your driver's license picture, then they can't issue the ticket. So when I'm driving in Scottsdale, you were making fun of those people who have like masks on in their car. But
While they're driving, yeah, that's true.
There's definitely something to be said for it. Also, if you have a suspended license, maybe the cop sees you drive by, turns around, but by the time he catches you, you're out of the car. If you were wearing a mask, you're a little safer.
Blend right in.
Now, Olivia, just to be clear, do you support masks being mandated? Or are you a voluntary person where people can wear them if they want to? It's your choice.
I mean, I find it really comforting that it's like socially acceptable because I would feel like a weirdo if I was the only one. But no, I don't think they should make you. I mean, you belong to yourself.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for that for our listeners. Anything else?
Yeah, so just the whole way they handled COVID made absolutely no sense, which is right, in line with what government always does. But think about it. So they closed down like these little boutiques and these little, like you said, the little tool shop where hardly anybody shops. Like you'll see one or two cars at most in a lot of these places, the ones that are in most dire straits of shutting down.
Yep.
And so it makes no sense because everybody's packed into the Walmart, right? Like it was so packed to go to Walmart. But then these little boutiques who at most have like one person in there all day, how is that fair? And then the other thing that was really crazy to me, I went to Albertsons and I heard that I think in California or some other, maybe not California, but another state, they actually said don't bring reusable bags anymore because they could be contaminated.
It was actually New Hampshire.
There's a lot of states that do that, but New Hampshire is one of them.
Wow.
So you can have a purse, you can bring your jacket or a backpack, but if you bring for some reason, reusable shopping bags all of a sudden are
that's interesting
carriers.
Because a little more than a year and a half or so ago, I was living in Seattle, Washington for a very long time, and they banned, the plastic bags, right? And so they were all pushing the reusable bags all the time, and so all of the stores were offering them for a few dollars. You could purchase them, and they're of course branded with the store or whatever. I wonder if that's still the case in Seattle, one of the most locked down areas. I'll have to check with some of my West Coast people and see what the situation is.
You're in New Hampshire. His Excellency issued a order very early on, actually, in his, I think, 60-plus orders that he's issued at this point.
60-plus?
I think it's over 60 at
My
this point.
God.
Yeah. One of the earliest ones was a prohibition on the use of reusable grocery bags, which has, I believe, since been rescinded. So that prohibition was temporary and has been rescinded. But it was obviously a political move by him because
that's so bizarre.
Well, it is weird, and I think that the explanation for it is it's a political signaling. This was a signaling to the right wingers because he's a Republican in New Hampshire, but he's got huge success numbers or approval numbers with people on the left because he's basically been one of the worst as far as the Republican governors is concerned, one of the most tyrannical of them. You compare him to the governor out in South Dakota, for instance, and it's like there's no comparison. She is way better on this than he has been. In fact, South Dakota, the caller earlier mentioned he was considering moving there as a result of how hands-off the governor there has been by comparison. So I think that was Sununu, who's the governor in New Hampshire. I think that was his signal to, hey, look here, right-wingers. See, I'm attacking the lefties. I'm banning the grocery bags. That's the best I can come up with.
He was going after a stupid mandate that they created. But, that's one of the whole things about these laws is there's no rhyme or reason. It's like you have a drug law. You have a law that everybody breaks. That allows you to pick whoever it is you hate and go after them for violating that law because everybody violates it. And it's the same sort of thing, I think, where you had to come up with some stupid symbolic gesture. So he picked a stupid symbolic gesture that would own the libs.
Anything else, Olivia?
just these symbolic gestures are always nonsensical as well. I mean, if you're going to make a symbolic gesture, like, make it a good one, you know?
But then it's not symbolic. then it actually
Point.
accomplishes something. You know, the most telling thing to me is that a large amount of the dead in the United States are dead because governors in 5 Democratic states, the 5 governors that most hate Donald Trump, ordered their nursing homes to take COVID-19 patients when COVID-19 only kills the sort of elderly people that you run across where in nursing homes.
Yep.
So that, to me, that's just first-degree murder to score political points, as far as I can tell.
It's certainly ridiculous. Okay, well, thank you for the call tonight, Olivia. We do appreciate it. I do also find the ridiculousness now, here in Keene, where we live, and I'm sure other places, where the Keene mandate is something like, okay, you can walk into a restaurant, but you have to wear the mask when you walk in. But then 10 feet over where you sit down, you can take the mask off as long as you're sitting down. Mm-hmm. But if you stand up, you have to put the mask back on. Yeah. Like somehow COVID's not going to get you when you're sitting versus standing.
It's just a ritual to show, and you can. It is just so sad to see so many people engaging in it on the streets. Oh, you going into business, put the mask on, because some people take it real serious and they just wear the mask everywhere, right? So like they're constantly masked while they're in their car, alone, while they're mowing their lawn.
I don't see many of that. What I see is people getting out of their cars without the mask when they get to the front door and wherever they're going in. Then they put it on.
That's what I'm saying. They're engaging in the ritual. They're doing what they've been told to do by the state. And they're doing it out of fear. Maybe they're not afraid of the actual virus, but they're afraid of what their neighbors will think.
Right.
Or they're afraid of the business giving them a hard time. So it's just fear, fear, fear. Whether it's fear of the virus or fear of social consequences. Yeah, they're all going along to get along. It's 99.9% compliance out there, and it's really sad.
If you want to do a late show on this stuff, we could call it the new abnormal.
Complete with antisocial distancing?
Complete with antisocial non-distancing.
We'll be sure to put all of this up on our antisocial media.
Good plan, good plan.
Well, speaking of the things that we have tonight where, we've seen a man get prison time for just an internet argument. We've seen a man get jail time for throwing a party. Well, looks like you can't have a wedding with guests in New York City anyway. Sheriffs have busted an illicit indoor wedding with nearly 300 guests.
You can have an online wedding.
Good.
Yeah, can you imagine a Zoom wedding?
Have an online wedding night, if you will. We don't need more like you.
More Free Talk Live coming up, 8:55, 450 free.
Moose is the German Shepherd and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has been on Dinovite since he's a puppy. DINOVITE.com. We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dinovite.
Dinovite for life.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and Forkfest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for Forkfest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Come on. Shalom. Shalom. Mama say mama sama makusa. Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk show program where you can talk about anything that you'd like.
For now.
For the moment. As we've seen, it's a sad day in the world of freedom of speech. What with a man who gets into an internet argument, 2 felonies now.
Yep, he's going to prison.
A man who threw a couple of parties at his own property, getting jail time.
Yep, going to jail.
We've apparently got sheriffs busting illicit indoor weddings. We'll talk more about that coming up.
Talk about interfering with free exercise of religion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get into any of that and your calls and thoughts, I wanted to tell you that Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com, freedomsphoenix.com. So let's just go ahead and go to your calls and your thoughts. We've got Edward calling from, I'm not sure where you're calling from, Edward, but you're on Free Talk Live.
I'm calling from Kentucky, Captain, and good evening to everybody.
Indeed. What's on your mind tonight?
Okay, so I was talking to my girlfriend this past weekend, and I said, what do you think would happen if I went downtown and I had a sign that said, Justice for Fernandez Bowman, or Fernandez Bowman, say his name? And the look on her face just said, you can't do that. They'll tear you apart.
And who is this?
So
I think you'll be met with looks of blank incomprehension because I'm looking at 3 talk show hosts who keep up on the news and have no idea what you're talking about.
I actually have an idea. Was this the body that was found in Breonna Taylor's rental car?
Exactly the right one. So in 2016, there was a Charger and there were 10 shots fired into it. And the person who rented the car was Mrs. Taylor. And so that's how they got onto her in 2016. And it wasn't hard. And the person, when they went over there to make the contact with Mrs. Taylor, and before I even get into that, I'm the absolute last person who anybody would say, or whom anyone would say, is a supporter of Blue Line or police or anything like that. I've been a critic.
Nobody would
for
say
years.
that.
Well, nobody would be wrong.
I do that to people. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So no. So I would not. My friends would not characterize me as a supporter of any of that. So I'll just preface that by that. So they make their contact with Miss Taylor, the police do, in 2016, and Chapo, the guy who calls himself Chapo, who ran houses downtown. He ran 2 or 3 trap houses, which people would come in and buy meth, and they'd buy crack, and they would buy things. And this is all in the report. He was over at the house when police made their first contact with Mrs. Taylor in 2016. So they didn't even have to go out and look for him. So they had his license plate and they had her license plate. And Chapo, Jamarcus Glover, used Mrs. Taylor's address as his home address. So he used her home address for 4 years. And so this was basically a 4-year investigation into Jamarcus Glover, Breonna Taylor, all that. And it all started with the death of 27-year-old man, Fernandez Bowman, who nobody knows his name. You know, we know lots of names out there, but we don't know his name. And I'm just curious what you guys think would happen if I went down there. And what the conversation would be like.
I don't know what happened, but I do know that according to the police, who generally think that everybody is guilty of everything that ever happened, they said they could not find any connection between Breonna Taylor and the fact of that dead body being in the back of that car. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's somebody she didn't know, but knowing somebody, knowing a gangster is a reason to arrest somebody, y'all better lock me up because I know a few of them.
Well, hang on, nobody. He was asking you something specific. Go ahead.
Okay.
How many cars do you rent that people end up dead in? Nobody.
Well, I don't know, but it could, none because I don't have a credit card. But, I might go to somebody, a perfect innocent who had a credit card, ask them to rent a car, and through some silliness of my own life, because silly things do happen in my life, have a corpse end up in the back of that and have somebody saying about this person who lent me a credit card, oh, gee, they must be a bad person because they let this person use a rental car that was rented on their credit card.
So, okay, here's what I don't understand. Having heard a thing or two about this Breonna Taylor case, my understanding was she was shot in a police drug raid. Isn't that right?
That found no drugs.
Okay, so ever since then, there seems to have been this group of, let's call them maybe right-winger police defender types who've been trying to impugn this woman's character, and seems like another attempt to do that is, she was hanging out with these bad guys, she was involved with drug dealing, there was an alleged murder.
What they've got is guilt by association.
But even if she was guilty, hold on, even if she was guilty of being a drug dealer and in with a bad crowd, that doesn't mean she deserved to die in a drug raid.
And I would say that being a drug dealer doesn't make you a bad person or a bad crowd.
That's why I prefaced this with saying I'm not that guy at all. I'm just trying to figure out why we don't know his name and why we don't know other people's names, but we know
because
her
we
name.
don't
because
know
he
why
wasn't
he's
killed
dead.
by police as far as we know. That's why we don't know his name.
Yeah.
He was a victim of some private criminal thing. Well, you don't protest against private criminal action because private criminals don't care about protests. The only time you protest is to try to move the government, change its behavior.
Yeah, the
Which hasn't
public,
worked.
public criminal action.
The war on drugs is what got Breonna Taylor killed. Her
Absolutely.
That's true. Absolutely
in the war
true.
on drugs. And the war on drugs should end. It's an abomination on freedom. So yeah, I'm not that guy at all. I'm just trying to get through this, and somebody out there on the radio who actually comes down on one side or the other, they realize the only way to end this is to end the war on drugs.
That's it.
If she didn't participate in the war on drugs, she'd be alive. Fernandez Bowman would be alive because he'd be working at a job at a corner store as opposed to participating in the drug game. So
yeah, it was probably some sort of drug dispute.
There's something that I read between the lines of your inquiry, which is, why is this a black thing? And if you want to know the answer to that, I would Google Nixon drug war black, and that will give you at least one article in which Nixon's chief of staff admits that the reason for the beginning of the drug war was that Nixon wanted to get black folks and hippies. And as a hippie, this stuck in my mind. And
very aware, yeah.
and this was, once you pass these laws that everybody breaks, you can pick and choose who you arrest for it, because everybody breaks it.
And I don't want to demean anybody's character at all. What I'm talking about is when there's a narrative that's created out of thin air, whether it's that she was sleeping, whether it was she was an EMT, which they wouldn't allow her to go on with
she
the
was
training.
at one point.
After Fernandez Bowman ended up dead, they said she could not continue, and that was not a plea deal because she wasn't tried, but they said she couldn't go on with her EMT training, so she never got out of training for EMT, and she had to step back from that role.
Was that after or because of?
More to say.
Hang on, Edward. Hold on.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Despite years of warnings about cryptocurrency, criminals prefer U.S. dollars for money laundering.
We can drop
study
them
shows.
accidentally over the...
Jim Rogers predicts end of U.S. dollar dominance. Macro strategist Raul Paul says Bitcoin beats gold in every way. New crypto, sushi, plummets around rumors of exit scam. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live on-air call-in talk radio program where you can call and talk about anything you'd like. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in Freeman. Freeman?
Here I am.
As in Freeman. Yeah, sorry. As in freedom. I must have been thinking about you for some reason.
Oh,
I know.
I feel icky. Can I go shower off a little before we go on?
Is it that time of month?
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Yes, you could. Showers are always appreciated. Unless you're, attending a baby shower, in which case I don't know.
You'll get arrested.
Why don't they wash their babies in private? I don't want to see that.
And why don't they give babies baths? Why do they have to be showers?
It's true. Baths are much safer, I think.
Well, speaking of freedom, if you would like to, you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and Forkfest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. It also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you are planning an event for Forkfest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. We were speaking with Edward, who had asked the question, what if he were to parade around downtown with the sign saying, Justice for Fernandez Bowman, what would happen? And we've been discussing those things. But he had a little more to say, and nobody, you were about to ask him a question.
Oh, yeah. My question was she literally kicked out because of the body in the car, or was she kicked out after the body in the car? Because
who was kicked out of what? I'm sorry.
Breonna Taylor was kicked out apparently of EMT training. Or of her EMT job. I'm not sure which, because I've heard conflicting reports on that.
Well, since the car was connected to her name, it wasn't tough to find her, so they went and made the contact with her. Jamarcus Glover, who called himself Chapo, was over there too. So they were able to talk to both of them within the next day. So as soon as that and the car is rented in her name, then it went through the city that she was not to continue because it was just too close to home to have an EMT and somebody getting murdered in a rental car.
So based on guilt by association, they cut off her means of making a living or attempt to better herself. That's pretty awful.
To the best of my knowledge.
Wow.
Okay. So what I had to say basically is how strange of a feeling, or just you're talking about an icky feeling about something else. It's just a strange feeling to be, because I'm pigeonholed or seeming like I'm a cop supporter, because I support truth, people who support truth, honesty, property, all these things. I don't label myself a voluntarist, but if I were going to, I would. So it's a very strange feeling to be in. I know the names of Daniel Shaver and Philando Castile and Justine Damon and Walter Scott and Duncan Lemp. I know these people's names. I've seen the videos. It's horrible. It's horrible what has been going on for at least the last 100 to 150 years. It's just been videotaped for the last 20 years.
Yes, right, yeah.
And the thing is, I don't like. I mean, on one hand, yes, I do the say her name thing. On the other hand, it's not about the individuals who are brought to the fore. And it's not just about black folks for me. It's about the pattern of police indifference to the survival of their victims is what bothers me. They come in and they victimize people and they frequently kill them, and they don't have any reason to care about that. So an individual case, one way or the other, it almost doesn't matter. And I've noticed that the cases that the media pushes are always the cases where there's a questionable thing or it goes back and forth. But, the media is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex.
Hey, Edward, thank you for the call tonight. We do appreciate it. Some good points made there. I do want to just touch on this bit about the sheriff's busting the illicit indoor wedding. This is from NBCConnecticut.com. The manager and owner were taken into custody and given appearance tickets for 6 misdemeanors.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe the loud music was the giveaway, or perhaps all the well-dressed people entering a parking garage late on a Friday night. But either way, an anonymous
parking garage.
Yeah, but
that's how hard it is to find a venue.
Right.
You cannot rent a venue because every venue owner is scared to death of, well, what happened here, which is to say the government goons coming in and raiding his business, and shutting him down, and pulling any kind of liquor and health permits and things like that. So somebody actually threw a wedding party, in a parking garage.
Well, we had a wedding harassed in New Hampshire on a mountain. I'll chime in on that one shortly.
We'll get to more of that. But either way, an anonymous complaint, Karen, about social distancing violations.
I'll bet that didn't really come from anonymous. Anybody can claim to be anonymous.
Well, right. This anonymous complaint about social distancing violations led New York City deputy sheriffs to break up an illicit wedding of nearly 300 guests at a hall in Woodside, Queens, late Friday night. Deputies responded to the hall.
So it wasn't a hall.
It wasn't a hall, but they had an underground parking garage.
Okay.
Deputies responded to the hall on Garfield Avenue just before midnight and found, quote, large groups of people entering the location through what appears to be an indoor parking area, as well as loud music coming from the location, unquote.
Wow.
So they did their best to try and disguise it. They said, hey, you know what? We have this banquet hall or whatever it is, this venue where there's this like underground parking bit. And so everybody but no. Some anonymous person had to be like, they're not social distancing. On entry, they discovered 284 guests attending a wedding with seating, food, alcohol, and a live band.
Yes, this sounds like what I was trying to set up in Keene.
Deputies broke up the wedding and dispersed the crowd.
Aw. Did they actually get their hitch tied? Are they still unmarried, living in sin or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. This does seem like an egregious violation of freedom of religion.
No doubt.
The hall's manager received desk appearance tickets for 4 misdemeanor offenses, and the owner received appearance tickets for 2 offenses. The raid. It's called a raid.
A raid
on a wedding.
Raiding weddings. That's right. They're raiding weddings, listeners. Do you hear me? They're raiding fricking weddings.
Anything if it just keeps us safe. If it just saves one life.
The raid came amid growing concerns over surging COVID-19 clusters in Brooklyn and Queens.
A surging cluster? Oh, no.
Can you show me a COVID surging cluster?
Cluster what?
Yeah. Can you?
Can't say that on the radio.
Can you show me?
That's what I didn't say.
What does a surging COVID cluster look like? Can you show me one? Have you filmed one?
I can
Not
show
you
you
personally.
films of them on Pornhub, but you don't want to see this.
Just hours before the busted wedding, top health officials warned the city was just days from having to reimpose some lockdown restrictions if the clusters could not be under control.
They don't even let you eat indoors in New York City at this point, so they're going to reimpose other restrictions. I mean, good luck getting through the winter.
They were just days away from it.
Yeah. Coming soon.
855-450-3733. Should police be busting weddings? More Free Talk Live coming up.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
Attention radio listeners, if you're concerned about the coming chaos after the November elections, this will be an extremely important message. Here's why. No matter what the outcome in November, catastrophic social upheaval is a very real possibility. Here's why this is important. Listen, we all know that silver and gold have been historic hedges against the uncertain waves of social chaos and unstable currencies. But did you know that there's been times in the past during times of extreme hardship, when Americans put another store of value above even silver and gold? It's true, open pollinated seeds have been and could very well be the ultimate store of value in the coming hard times ahead. Go to survivalseedbank.com to get heirloom seeds below wholesale. Visit survivalseedbank.com this week and get hundreds of dollars in free bonuses. Beat the coming chaos, beat rising food prices, but above all, don't wait. Beat the crowds by claiming your own Survival Seed Bank today.
With a MECTEC Carbine Conversion unit, you can turn an XD Family Glock or 1911 handgun into a carbine rifle in seconds and have it shipped right to your door, no FFL required. Now, MECTEC is excited to announce our Pistol Carbine Conversion unit. More compact with a 12-inch barrel and an arm brace, proving once again that MECTEC is the world's most versatile handgun accessory. For a limited time, go to handgunconversions.com. That's handgunconversions.com and use coupon code RADIO to receive $35 off any carbine purchase.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the final segment already of this Monday edition of Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk show program where you can talk about anything that's on your mind. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733 or 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And who tells the truth? Nobody?
Nobody tells the truth.
Why does nobody tell the truth?
Nobody tells the truth because it's not generally a good idea under democracy. Under democracy, the way you gain power is to lie to as many people as possible. So in American politics, nobody tells the truth.
And if you listeners were not aware, and even if you are, please tune in to Nobody's show called Nobody Tells the Truth. When is it?
It's on every Friday night from 10:30 to 12. And please tune in. And if you think I'm an idiot, if you want to argue with me about something, let me know over the Matrix server, and you might be a guest on Nobody Tells the Truth, where you can tell me I'm wrong and tell me why, and I'll argue with you and call you names.
There's even a Nobody Tells the Truth chat room on the Matrix server, which folks can get to by going to chat.lrn.fm. There's step-by-step instructions on how to join.
Nice.
Indeed. And that I like that new Matrix server a lot. I love knowing that we have a server that nobody can shut down but us.
Right. That's very important. Circling back to what we've been discussing before the break, it's an article from NBC Connecticut in which sheriffs have busted an illicit indoor wedding with nearly 300 guests. 300,000, that'd be a large wedding. 300 guests. There was some music, apparently. An anonymous person had lodged a complaint about social distancing violations, and the sheriffs showed up to this place. The hall's manager received 4 misdemeanor tickets, and the owner received 2. And the raid came amid growing concerns over COVID-19 clusters, which we kind of talked about a little bit. I don't know what a COVID-19
Nobody's
cluster
concerned
is.
about this.
I don't know. I've never heard of this terminology before.
It means a few cases show up in a few places, but there's no pandemic going on, so they stand up as little clusters rather than everybody getting sick.
This may be the most precarious moment we're facing since we have emerged from lockdown, Health Commissioner Dave Chokski said at a Friday news conference. Warning.
That might be the most precarious logic I have heard since we emerged from lockdown.
Yeah. Dave Chokshi, whatever.
Joni loves Chachi?
Yeah, that's the one. Warning that the clusters could soon evolve into widespread transmission. We will move as swiftly as the situation warrants. If this growth continues, it will turn into widespread transmission, potentially citywide.
Oh, my God. It sounds like cluster fornication.
It's a cluster F, anyway. So anyway, yeah, apparently, man gets some prison time for arguing with some asshat on the internet.
Now wait, have they been gotten prison time yet for this? Oh, you're talking about you're talking about Cantwell. I'm sorry, you're recapping Cantwell.
That just keeps drifting into your head again, doesn't it, bro? Do you tell people on the internet that you're gonna fornicate with their wives?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just wasn't sure.
We've seen a man get jailed for holding a party at his house.
That's something I might do.
And now we have sheriffs busting a wedding, a freaking wedding. Like, I don't know how much more,
well, and the thing is, you've found more than one story that's similar tonight.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not the first set of stories. We talked about the parties in Hollywood Hills that were broken up, and the owners of those houses were targeted within the last, month or so. And there have been other busts of other parties in New York City earlier this year. So, by no means have we been, Johnny on the spot on top of all these stories. There's a bunch of stories like this.
Yes.
This isn't just some sort of oddball thing. It's happening in a lot of places.
And it's not going to stop until, quote, the people, unquote, put a stop to it.
They won't. They have no reason to. They're cheering it on. Oh, yeah, we got to put a stop to it. COVID, it's scary. Protect us, cops. Arrest every single one of those people. That way we can help save one life. by ruining thousands, if not millions, of other lives.
Let's go to your calls and your thoughts. We've got David in New Mexico calling. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, so they offered me a plea. Should I take it?
For what?
Well, I mean, just in general. Wait, hang on. Just in general, my gut reaction is to tell you no, don't take a plea. But tell us more.
It depends.
They want to see my 4 misdemeanors, a pair of petty misdemeanors, and a pair of full misdemeanors, and lower me to a pair of petty misdemeanors.
Sounds like you're playing poker with the state. I'll see your 4 petty misdemeanors, and I'll raise you 2 regular misdemeanors.
Should I call?
What's in the river?
Oh, not much. It's up the river. I know it's up the river, but I don't know what's in the river.
Okay, so what was this for?
It's for capital murder. Oh, wait, no, that was the other one. This is for harassing people on the telephone like I'm doing right now. And
this is where you were calling a local radio station at the college, and they told you to stop, and you said, I pay taxes, so I should be able to call this station because it's tax-supported, and they charged you with misdemeanors for that.
Yeah, 2 misdemeanors and 2 petty misdemeanors.
And they're offering you what exactly on the plea deal?
What's the plea? What are the terms?
They want me to cop to 2 petty misdemeanor, disorderly conduct, the standard go-to for that kind of stuff.
Okay, and what would the sentence be for that?
It was something to do with a deferred sentence, so if I was good for a whole year, because they did it strategically, they wanted 2 petty misdemeanors, not 1, because they want to hang on to me. They want to run consecutive so they can control my ass for a year, like whatever they tell me to do, piss in this cup or whatever, that kind of stuff. So, but my feeling is like, F you, Raul Torres, the DA for Bernalillo County, and Jennifer Vickery, your little henchwoman. No.
Well, it sounds to me like they don't want to go to trial because they are in a pretty tough spot legally on this one. So I think you're probably in the right to not take that plea deal and go
you're
on
right.
trial.
Especially let me share with you what my final cards are to play. What's in the river, so to speak, is their so-called victim, Elaine Baumgartel. This is public record, people. Elaine Baumgartel, the quote-unquote victim, and their key witness told them she doesn't want to be involved.
Oh. Uh-oh.
So
wow.
Yeah. So they got a problem. Raul Torres and your wife Nasha, you got a problem. You should tell that to Jennifer Vickery, your little assistant DA chick. You got a problem.
So hold on, this woman that's the key witness, was she the one who called the cops?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
so she didn't want to be involved after she realized that
it was going to be a hassle.
That maybe she was in the wrong for doing that, you think?
Yeah, Elaine Baumgartel. That's the one you're talking about. Elaine Baumgartel. KUNM. Elaine Baumgartel. It's in the police report.
Interesting.
Elaine Baumgartel. Yeah, that one.
So, David, I have a question for you because you asked what you should do, and I think I gave my answer already, but that's just my opinion, and of course I'm not giving legal advice. But do you have the time? Is this going to interfere with your life to go to trial? Is it an expense for you? Those are the things you have to think of. Right,
time consuming.
I will clear the calendar and make time for this. This is going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
Are they going to stream this online?
Yeah, that's what I was calling about. You want the password so you can listen? It's public. It's all public. You're supposed to attend.
When is it happening?
All you got to do. It happened this morning. It was a knockdown drag out this morning. You missed a really good one, man. We had a good old fight in the courtroom, and we're going to have more fights on Wednesday. There are going to be 2 of them. I got a hearing in the morning and a hearing in the afternoon. The hearing in the morning is all you got to do.
Just post it to our chat server, why don't you?
Yeah, we're running out of time, but throw it on Matrix.
I don't know how to do that.
It's not that hard. Just go to chat.lrn.fm and you can follow the instructions there.
Or send me an email at electnobody.com. That's nobody@electnobody.com.
There you go.
Nobody@electnobody.com.
You got it. Easy to remember.
Thanks for the call tonight, David. We do appreciate it. I wish you the best and good luck with all of that. Give him hell, bro. That seems to be our time tonight.
Yep.
Sadly, it always goes by so quickly. I'm always amazed. I'm like, wow, that's 3 hours already? Oh, we barely getting started talking about this stuff. Please, support freedom of speech wherever you are. It may be the last freedom we actually have. You can check us out at freetalklive.com, archives.freetalklive.com for all of our back episodes. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto